So today I'm going to work on my tractor. It has, I broke all but one of the fan blades off because of a stick getting shoved up in it. And so what I'm going to do today is replace the fan on the drive shaft since I broke all the fan blades off. I'll show you the process I'm going to do, and I replaced this fan, I don't remember, like 8 years ago when I first got the tractor. They were all missing then, and I went ahead and replaced it. And the best I remember, I pulled the front of the drive shaft off, and then I pulled the back of it off, and then I also had to pull the flange off of the shaft. And I'll show you exactly where all that's at. So here's the front of the drive shaft. The engine's backwards on these little tractors, so that's actually the front of the engine there. Right there, that's the front of the engine, and then the drive shaft. So I have to there's 3 bolts there. You can only see 2, but there's 3. And then there's the one fan blade that remains. I'll have to take this shaft off right here, and then it's kind of dark, and then let's see, right there's a bolt. I'll have to get the drive shaft turned, get that bolt out, and then slide that flange off of the shaft. And then there's bolts on that side of the fan to get it off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get, I believe they're 12 millimeter bolts on this shaft, and I'll get those off. You can see my marks from when I did it the first time. So I'll get the front ones out and then work on the back ones. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, because it's hard to get to the top bolt, I'm going to take one bolt out, and then I'll crank the engine over to get access to the other one, or it may rotate just with me turning this, because when loosening it, it tried to rotate, so I may just be able to do that. Alright, that shaft I got out of the way for the most part now. It took a little wiggling and figuring out where to go to get it where it wasn't in the way. I got it rotated so I can get to that bolt in the side. I think going back together it'll be kind of hard to get it in there because the fins will be on it. Right now they're not in the way because they aren't there. But let me see if I can show you what's going on here. So the shaft is so the shaft I got pushed over there, and here's the fan. There's only one blade on it right now, so that shaft shouldn't be in the way, but when going back together it'll probably be back in the way with the fins on it. think I'll have to go get a pry bar to get that off. All right, I'll get this fan changed off of here, and we'll get it back on there. All right, so that was pretty simple to just change the fan over, and I'll get it back on. This is gonna be the tricky part, to get the fan back up in there with the drive shaft. Okay, so I was doing some thinking about this, and I think the best I remember that maybe there's a snap ring inside this flange here that holds it on. This is like a CV type joint. And I think I took this piece off and then slid the fan all the way back on its shaft and then put this back on maybe. So I'm going to try that and see what happens. Well, I had those right to begin with. I'll clean this up, clean all the grease off and put fresh grease in it. One ball fell out. There's another one. I'll get all this cleaned up and before I get it put back together. See if I can get this up in there now. Put the shaft back over to the side, mostly I think. It's going pretty okay, buddy. Huh? Alright, I think I figured out the right combination of getting this thing up in here, and I think I got my parts cleaned up. What I'm going to do now is put little bits of grease in these holes where the balls go for the CV style joint. Put a little grease in them, and then I'm going to put quite a bit of grease around it before I put the balls, or I'll put these grease in the holes, and then put grease all around it before I put it back together. And the grease in the holes is, you know, partly to lubricate, but then also to hold the balls in place so they don't fall out everywhere. Got a lot of dogs barking. I don't know if it's because my boys are riding their power wheels or what. They usually bark at us on walks, but I don't know about right now. I don't usually ride it at home. So I pull the shaft as far forward as I can. Try to squeeze this other piece in at an angle. Try to make sure I got the balls lined up with their slots and push it together. Now I'll shove a little bit more grease down in there before I put the washer and snap ring back in. I don't have a new boot for this. This boot is ripped. There's a cover on that goes over this, but I didn't realize it was ripped, or I would have tried to get a new one. I've got one more bolt to put in here, and then I'll have to go around and tighten them all after I get them started. And that's going to be the end of this video. Thanks for watching.